Rainmaker, let it rain, let it rain, let it rain. Rain.
Qualifying for the 1999 French Grand Prix was, as the kids would put it, moist AF, leading to a jumbled up grid that set the scene for quite the Grand Prix. These images are actually making me quite jealous right now, as this audio is being recorded during a heatwave, so I could do with some rain. Rubens Barrichello lined up first on the grid after taking the Stewart team's first and only pole position, and John Alesi impressed with second place despite suffering a huge crash in practice. Seriously, it's impressive he was even starting, that car was wrecked. Third on the grid was Olivier Panis, then the top McLaren of David Coulthard was only fourth. The top Ferrari was Michael Schumacher in sixth, and then Hakkinen and Irvine were forced to start from 14th and 17th respectively. A grand total of 5 cars failed to reach the 107% rules time, although all were allowed to start the race due to the conditions. When the race got underway, Barrichello led into turn 1 as behind him Coulthard passed Panis. Frentzen then followed him through on the straight, and Schumacher went right around the outside of the hairpin. He then had a look at Frentzen into 180, but the order remained Barrichello, Alesi, Coulthard, Frentzen and Schumacher. Hakkinen had also had an excellent start and he was up to 9th already. The first lap was clean. On lap 2, Coulthard made his move and went up past Alesi for second. With only midfield cars in front of him, David had known since before the race that this was a strong opportunity for a win. All he needed to do was get the lead quickly before Schumacher reached him and then hold on. Strangely enough though, it looked in the early stages like Schumacher was more at risk of being caught by Hakkinen. There's Mika making a move on Panis for 6th as the Prost driver dropped down the order like he was unfortunately expected to. And that is Johnny Herbert coming into the pits to become the first retirement of the race due to a gearbox issue. Look, that's David Coulthard going for the lead with a dive on Barrichello from quite far back. Rubens came back on the exit, but David found the traction and stayed ahead just. Anyway, unrelated, but I just love how Martin Brundle says the words clear air. Listen to this.
So now he's got some clear air.
Clear ear. I love it. That wasn't a slip-up or anything either. That's how he pronounces it every time. Listen out for it next time you hear him commentating. Back to the race, Hakkinen caught Schumacher and had a go at him on lap 9. Oh, the camera didn't like it. He slipstreamed his way to the outside, but didn't find a way through. That was only his first attempt though, so he knew he had time. Next time around, Hakkinen got the inside line. Watch this as he tries to get the apex but wiggles and overshoots it, and Schumacher is able to get the cutback and get back underneath him on the exit. He tries to get the inside line for the chicane, but Hakkinen has his nose ahead into the corner and claims 5th position. Also noticed the stricken car on the inside of 180 there. That's Pedro De La Rosa, who retired with a transmission failure off screen. Talking of retirements, off goes Coulthard from the lead! The Scotsman had such an excellent start to the Grand Prix and was all set to dominate it, but his race ended after just 9 laps due to an electrical failure. Gosh! This meant of course that Barrichello was back in the lead 4 seconds ahead of Alesi. Frentzen was third of course, but not for long as Mika Hakkinen dived through into the podium positions. Frentzen also tried to come back at him, but once again the traction on the outside just about prevailed into the fast chicane. A few laps later, Hakkinen made a move on Alesi, but he locked up and they went wide. The move stuck though because he kept 2 wheels within the wide lines. It was about this time that the rain started to fall as well. There had been dark clouds on the horizon for a while in this race, but suddenly the spectators were starting to put the umbrellas up. Here we go guys. Suddenly the pit lane became very busy. Eddie Irvine came in, but the team weren't ready for him. Out on the track, cars were touring round as the track became a river, and Fisichella went for a spin. In the pit, Irvine is still waiting. Look at that time, 30 seconds plus now. They did not have the wet tyres ready. 42.9 seconds lost, and out he goes onto a very wet track. Hakkinen and Alesi then came in at the same time, and their teams were ready for them. They both took wet tyres and came out in the same order. Frentzen and Schumacher also pitted. Barrichello stayed out though, taking a big risk. Meanwhile, that's Damon Hill, who apparently collided with an Arrows car while in the pit lane. He had an off, but then toured back to the pits with a puncture. Fast forward about a minute and Barrichello has made his pit stop, but just look how close Hakkinen is now. It's so close for the lead, and Alesi is right there. Or at least he was, but then he spun! Alesi has spun off the road. It's hard to see, but through went Frentzen, and Alesi was beached. No! Out came the safety car, so let's refresh. It's Barrichello leading, followed by Hakkinen, Frentzen, Michael Schumacher, Parnis, and Trulli. The action wasn't over yet though. After an advert break on the broadcast, we came back to the sight of Wirtz, Villeneuve and Genet all having their cars craned away from the circuit. I can only presume they all aquaplaned off behind the safety car, which just shows you how wet it must have got out there. Fisichella almost met the same fate, look, gosh. So here comes race leader Rubens Barrichello, and look at this, hi mum! Oh my goodness, I love Rubens. He's having the time of his life out there leading this Grand Prix. Damon Hill was the next car to retire, suffering from an electrical fault possibly related to his earlier puncture. Damon actually said after the race that he might retire from Formula 1 then and there, since he was going to retire at the end of the season anyway, but eventually he decided to stick it out and finish his F1 career properly. Good on you, Damon. When the green flags came out again, the track was still very wet, but Barrichello kept it clean and cleared the way. He kept the lead, and the rest of the pack stayed in pretty much the same order too, despite a few lockups and slides. At the halfway point in this race, Hakkinen was close to Barrichello and closing, but he caught the white line on the inside of the hairpin and spun! Around he went, and through went Frentzen, Schumacher, Parnis and Trulli. Wow! It honestly seems like Barrichello is invincible in this race or something. Everyone who gets close to him has an incident. Coulthard passed him and then broke down, Alesi was catching him and then spun, Hakkinen was catching him and then spun. I think Rubens must have an invisible force field or something. All hail Super Rubens. The next driver to inhabit second place was Schumacher, who passed Frentzen into the hairpin, much to Murray Walker's delight. It was now Barrichello and Schumacher inhabiting the first two spots, just as it would be for the majority of the early 2000s.
And Mika Hakkinen is down in 7th place, behind Ralf Schumacher, Trulli, Parnis and Replay.
Ah yes, my favourite driver, Monsieur Replay. 2 laps later, watch this, you're gonna see Schumacher coming from miles back and going for a dive down the inside into the hairpin. Look at that, through into the lead, but only for a very short time because Barrichello cuts back on the exit and gets straight back through again. Careful Schumi, you don't want to invoke the Barrichello curse, gosh. Here we go again then on lap 44, Schumacher's lining up a move, but will he make it?
Here comes Michael, and this time...
Goodness, Murray is so funny, a much missed legend. Anyway, this time Schumacher has the lead and Barrichello is not able to come back at him. Ralf Schumacher is also on a roll, climbing up to 5th position off screen, and that's Eddie Irvine passing Trulli for 6th. Both Ralf and Eddie have passed Mika Hakkinen, rather worryingly for the McLaren driver, although Mika did manage to get past both the Prosts in quick succession. It's time for another pit window now, and in comes Michael Schumacher from the lead. He actually changed his steering wheel during this stop, as apparently he'd been suffering from an electrical glitch prior to this, but finding a gear cost him about 5 seconds. Meanwhile, Eddie Irvine went off. It was not a good lap for Ferrari. Ah, Italian gestures. Wait, hold on. Is that Hakkinen already back up to Frentzen? Well yes actually, and he's going for a move, but has to bail out of that one. You see, this race has a really interesting dynamic which I always love to see in races, and that's a bit of a pendulum effect. The McLaren is the fastest car when the track is drying, and the Ferrari is the quickest car when the track is dampening, and due to the changeable conditions that plays into different cars' hands at different times. That's why there's been such a back and forth swing between the two all the way through the race, and why other runners such as Barrichello and Frentzen are still in the mix. That's for second now, since both the Schumachers have pitted. Here we go then, Hakkinen pulls alongside Frentzen, but look at the top speed of that Jordan! Once again I'm going to leave this commentary up to Murray here.
Heinz Harold, that was magnificent! No, it wasn't!
Murray is on fine form today, Hakkinen takes second. Talking of fine form, Hakkinen went up the inside of Barrichello, and Barrichello got the traction. That was awfully familiar. And And this is more like it. This is a lap later when Häkkinen passed Barrichello successfully, as behind them Parnis and Trulli have pitted their Prosts. Also behind them, here's someone we haven't seen so far today, Cas Sploosh. That's Pedro De La Rosa there, going for a spin.
This is what happened. Frentzen came up alongside him.
Oh look, that's a problem for Frentzen.
Yes, indeed, the car chugging out of the hairpin before finding a gear and getting going without losing a place. Anti-stall perhaps? This was the first sign of weakness that Jordan had shown all day. Behind them, that's a move going on for 6th place, and it's Irvine on Parnis. And remember guys, that points only went back to 6th place in the 90s, so that was a crucial move. Parnis then quickly went off and allowed Trulli up to 7th, but ignore the leaderboard you just saw that says Jarno is still 4th, as that hasn't updated yet after some of the pit stops. Now, for a long time in this race, the question had been about the last pit stop. Which of the top 3 still needed to pit for fuel, and which could run to the end? Well, there's your answer regarding Häkkinen, in for a splash and dash. That put Barrichello back into the lead, but was the Stewart driver destined for his first Grand Prix win? Answer, no! In came Barrichello and Heinz-Harald Frentzen took the lead. The order was now Frentzen, Häkkinen and Barrichello, but Rubens was then in danger of losing the podium spot to Schumacher. He'd have to wait 2 more years for his first win. That's not the way the corner's supposed to go, Ralph. Come on man, you're gonna let Eddie Irvine pass you. There he goes. Ralph got the traction and got him back though. That's the battle for 5th place. I tell you what though, Ralph does have the pace, and here he is having a go at his brother Michael. Oh, and he gets it on the X of the hairpin. Great stuff. Remember, Ralph started from 16th, and now he's up to 4th. If you're wondering where the other Williams is, by the way, Alessandro Zanardi unfortunately had to retire from the race earlier on during the safety car period due to an engine failure off screen. Now Irvine's getting close to Schumacher, look.
What's going through?
He's not allowed to do that in his contract, is he?
Ferrari. Come to think of it, it probably would have been better if Ferrari had swapped the cars here. This happened just 1 race before Schumacher broke his legs in a crash at Silverstone, and if Irvine had been able to pass Ralph and stay ahead of him, then he would actually have gone on to become world champion. Imagine that. Obviously Ferrari weren't to know this though. So, eventually Heinz-Harald Frentzen came out of the final corner to win just his and Jordan's 2nd ever Grand Prix victory each, and by 11 seconds due to a superb bit of strategy. Mika Häkkinen came through in 2nd in a race that he really should have won, and Rubens Barrichello claimed the final podium spot in 3rd. The rest of the points went to Ralf Schumacher, who climbed up from 16th on the grid, Michael Schumacher, who was suffering from some sort of electrical issue, and then Eddie Irvine up from 17th. An incredible race had come to an end. Guys, before I give this race a score, I want to let you know that I have a Daily Motion account for all the races that get taken down from my YouTube channel by the pesky FOM bots. Due to the high levels of parody, review and education my videos contain, as well as the short lengths of the clips I use, I believe that all of my videos fall under fair use, but sadly this isn't always enough. On my Daily Motion account, you can find the 1996 Monaco and Portuguese Grand Prix, as well as any other video that may end up being taken down from my YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Thank you. I gave the Grand Prix a 9.3 out of 10 overall, which yes, is a new series record! This is due to its high unpredictability and awesome changeable conditions. The +1 bonus point comes courtesy of the brilliant commentary from Murray Walker and Martin Brundle, who was so funny that I really didn't need to make that many jokes and quips in this one. They did it all for me 23 years ago. I'll give the Driver of the Day award for Best Driver to Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who was up near the front for the whole thing, overcame the weird clunky gear thing, and won due to a superb strategy, although an honourable mention goes to Luca Badoa, who finished 10th for Minardi. That would be a point nowadays. I'll give the Inouye Trophy for Worst Driver to Giancarlo Fisichella, who spun twice on-screen and then once more off-screen, where he got beached and retired. Drive safety guys, and I'll see you next time.